I assume we have learned some lessons, with the most important lesson being don't underestimate a narcissistic, power-hungry, wannabe dictator. Hello again. Welcome to The Ruthless Truth. I am your host, Truth Davis. In this forum, I share opinions, thoughts, truths on a wide variety of topics based on what I believe to be a unique life experience. I mean, I'm an inner city kid from Memphis who ascended to the C-suite of a Fortune 100 company, so I've seen some things. My intent is to share experiences, stories, perspectives that'll assist you in your life journey. Please follow me on Instagram at TruthDavis5. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ruthless Truth. And there's also a Facebook page, Ruthless Truth. General format, I'll share some initial commentary on current news items. Then I'll have a deeper discussion on one topic, which is today's truth. And then I'd like to finish with an American history fun fact. Okay, current news. There's a lot of it, all right? But the hottest news story of the week, I think without question, is the murder of Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. And, well, I'm not that surprised about violence erupted in this environment, but what is mind-blowing to me is that the White House and Homeland Security continue to push a narrative that is clearly and easily proven to be false by multiple videos. These aren't opinions or theories. We have indisputable visual evidence that, one, she did not attempt to run down the ICE agent. At no time were their lives threatened. In fact, according to ICE's own videos, her last words were said with a smile, which, that's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at any of you. She clearly and slowly steered her vehicle away from the ICE agent, not toward them. And then he calmly shot her in the face while he was holding a cell phone in the other hand. And then after she was dead, he muttered with disgust, "Fucking bitch," indicating no remorse or sympathy for the person he had just killed. Now, in the aftermath, thousands have taken to the streets to protest. But the White House is resolute and has doubled down by sending an additional 1,000 troops to Minneapolis. This truly is a powder keg. So, what's next? I really have no idea, but nothing will shock me, including a decision to not investigate or charge the ICE agent with anything. We'll see. Now, anyone who has listened to the Ruthless Truth for any period of time knows that I am a huge fan and student of history. So, given recent events, just for kicks, I spent the weekend reviewing the astounding rise of Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich. Now, before I go any further, do I really think that anything like that could happen in the United States? I do not. And despite some of the doomsday predictions from some on the extreme left, this could never happen here for a number of reasons. First, 1930s Germany didn't have the benefit of 90 years of documentaries, interviews, historical accounts of what happened in 1930s Germany. I assume we have learned some lessons, with the most important lesson being don't underestimate a narcissistic, power-hungry, wannabe dictator. Second, although I regularly rail on the ineptness of the U.S. Congress, I do believe there are still enough principled people in that body that will step up to support constitutional checks and balances. We're actually seeing some of that now, as several Senate Republicans recently joined Democrats to advance a resolution that would limit President Donald Trump's ability to conduct further attacks against Venezuela, sounding a note of disapproval for his expanding ambitions in the Western Hemisphere. Third, most people don't realize Hitler's rise to power was a long process. I mean, it took over 12 years, and that included a brief period of being incarcerated. Also, Hitler was in his 40s when he assumed power. He was focused and full of energy. Our president will be 80 this year, and no one would describe him in those terms. Finally, we still have elections in this country. You know, one of the first things Hitler did was eliminate all elections, making him the sole entity of government. I don't see that happening here. So, while we are clearly experiencing unprecedented overreach from the executive branch, as I always believe, the republic will survive. Okay, last week I expressed skepticism that the U.S. oil companies would invest billions of dollars to extract oil from the Venezuelan oil reserves, despite the dreams and desires of the president. Well, last week the president hosted a meeting with about a dozen U.S. oil companies to discuss the plan for moving forward in Venezuela. However, none of the companies showed much interest in proceeding. As I predicted, they had concerns about political structure, policies, labor, stability, and most importantly, safety. Also, given the current low oil prices, they questioned if such a venture would even be profitable. The CEO of ExxonMobil, the largest oil company in the United States, summed it up with this concise statement, and I quote, "If we look at the legal and commercial constructs and frameworks in place today in Venezuela, today it's uninvestable." Well, of course, the president hated that response. He said Exxon was playing, quote, too cute, and he threatened to exclude Exxon from any future Venezuelan oil opportunities. You know, that might have made him feel better, but it's a pretty empty threat. And this situation is just one more example of politicians who time and time again demonstrate their lack of understanding about one very simple factor about American business. They only care about making money. In fact, as a publicly traded company, the CEO's primary business objective is to increase shareholder equity. The government can't make a corporation pursue unprofitable ventures. That said, Congress has repeatedly passed legislation and regulations to restrict the activities of companies, to help protect consumers from being exploited, and some of these have actually been very beneficial. I work in the financial services industry, and recent regulation has increased the requirement for financial companies and financial professionals to more clearly disclose fees, practices, and secure confirmation from the clients that they fully understand what they are purchasing. That's good legislation, as the industry has had a history of taking advantage of consumers who don't understand the incredibly complex industry. But companies will always find a way to replace any revenue that is taken from them. President Obama signed legislation to cap bank fees for ATMs and overdrafts. Okay. That was good. So what did the banks do? They increased other fees, such as monthly account fees, while reducing interest paid on deposits. Another recent example. The president announced he wants to set a cap of 10% on credit card interest rates. I get that. I mean, some consumers are paying as much as 30% interest on their credit cards. But if this regulation goes into effect, do you know what's going to happen? The banks will simply cancel credit cards for millions of consumers who they consider risky. Many of these Americans rely on credit cards to pay monthly expenses. And if the credit cards are canceled, they'll have to go to more unscrupulous options like payday lenders. The CEO of SoFi has already stated that this would be great for his company because more people will be forced to take out personal loans, which is the business he is in. You can trust me to continue to monitor the news and developments that most potentially affect you. And please let me know if there's any topic you want to learn more about. Okay, let's get to today's truth. Today's truth. Let's discuss artificial intelligence, more commonly referred to as AI. It is arguably the hottest topic in business today and is impacting many factors of American life, including the job market and stock market performance. Emotions range from excitement to apprehension to fear. Well, in today's truth, I want to have an objective and balanced conversation about AI, including the benefits, challenges, risks, and opportunities. Let's start with the basics. What is AI? AI, artificial intelligence, refers to computer systems designed to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, like learning, problem solving, understanding language, and making decisions by analyzing data and recognizing patterns to act autonomously or to assist humans. Now, the academic concept of AI has been around since 1956. However, it's only been in the 2020s that we've seen the AI boom that is dominating today's headlines. Some of the more practical and well-known applications include search engines like Google Search, virtual assistants such as Siri or Alexa, autonomous vehicles and machines such as drones and self-driving cars, facial recognition technology, and targeted online advertising. Okay, so that's what it is. And some of the big questions that come from that include, well, what is it that AI can do? And what are the limitations of AI? Meaning, what can it not do? And most importantly, what does it mean for me and my career prospects? And why are businesses so excited about AI? Well, primarily because they see opportunities to reduce labor costs by having AI perform tasks that are currently done by people. Specifically, AI threatens jobs involving repetitive tasks, data processing, routine communication, and the roles most at risk include translators, writers, customer service reps, and data entry clerks. And while there's concern and panic about the potential loss of tens of thousands of jobs, let's remember this is nothing new. Over the past couple of centuries, we've seen the evolution of technology, industry, and consumer needs completely eliminate jobs and industries while creating new opportunities. Here's just a partial list of jobs from 40 years ago that no longer exist. Switchboard operator, elevator operator, photomat attendant, milkman, video store clerk, typesetter, VCR repairman, and there are many, many more. But let's move on from this. I think it's far more important and helpful to focus on the skills and occupations that will not be replaced by AI. Let's start with the skills. Now, as I proceed with this discussion, I want to cite and give credit to my primary source of information. Much of what follows was from my review of an article in Forbes published in October 2025. The article was entitled 5 Human Skills AI Can't Replace and How Schools Can Teach Them. And the author was Sarah Hernholm. Okay, what are these skills? Number 1, ethical judgment and moral reasoning. Decisions about how technology is used in classrooms, where to draw the line on workplace monitoring, or how to weigh the risk and benefits of medical tools. This can't be handed off to machines. These are human decisions. Technology can follow rules, but it can't decide which rules matter or when to make exceptions. Organizations are looking for people who can spot unintended consequences early, weigh competing interests, and make sound decisions in the gray areas where algorithms fall short. Skill number 2, empathy and emotional intelligence. Leaders, teachers, healthcare workers, and entrepreneurs rely on emotional intelligence to build trust, resolve conflict, motivate teams, and co-create solutions. Skill number 3, creativity and vision. I actually think this is the most critical of the skills. Human creativity, especially cross-disciplinary and visionary thinking, remains a competitive edge. Breakthroughs come from humans who see what's not there yet. All right? Number 4, critical thinking and judgment. AI lacks situational awareness and the ability to understand subtext. Critical thinking remains a human safeguard. It means questioning data sources, interrogating assumptions, and detecting bias. And then skill number 5, adaptive learning and human resilience. In volatile markets, the ability to learn fast or unlearn old habits and adapt is priceless. The World Economic Forum's 2025 Human-Centric AI Brief emphasized adaptability as a defining human advantage. Workers who learn how to learn and apply it across domains will remain indispensable. Now, the 5 skills I just summarized have been critical skills since the beginning of mankind. Companies and organizations will always value people who are able to create, think, apply sound judgment, empathize, and display morality and emotional intelligence. Machines cannot learn this. Someone still needs to decide what it is we need the machines to do. Okay. Skill development is nice and critical, but some of you are facing the very real and practical decision of what career should I pursue? What are the jobs that are safe from AI replacement? That's fair. Well, the jobs that AI can't replace are those that require deep empathy, complex human interaction, nuanced judgment, true creativity, and complex physical dexterity. Specifically, these jobs include therapists, healthcare professionals such as doctors, nurses, and anesthesiologists, teachers, and then there are the skilled tradespeople such as plumbers and electricians, and then other tradespeople such as painters, pest control, roofers. Creative and problem-solving professions such as strategists, architects, HR managers, attorneys and judges, and C-suite executives. And finally, new jobs will emerge in order for AI to function, including, but not limited to, AI designers and engineers, ethicists, who develop the policies and guidelines for fair, transparent, and responsible AI use. There will be AI product managers who oversee the development and strategy for AI-powered products. We'll need integrators and architects that help businesses implement AI tools into existing workflows and systems. And there will be many, many more as AI continues to expand. So, summarize. AI is here to stay. It will definitely make some jobs obsolete, but it will also create new opportunities. And whether your education track takes you down a trade path or a college or higher education, there will be career opportunities in an AI environment. Because while AI can provide automation and productivity, it will never be able to replace the human skills that are critical to business success. Specifically, machines cannot supplant ingenuity, creativity, judgment, empathy, or tasks that require human hands, such as tradespeople and technicians. This is just the latest phase of business evolution. We'll adjust as we've been doing for centuries. Okay, let's get to today's American History Fun Fact. Today's American History Fun Fact. I really don't have much time left for this episode, so today's History Fun Fact will be brief. Today, I want to tell the story of Arthur Duncan and the role of Betty White in his career. So Arthur Duncan was born in September 1925 in Pasadena, California. He was one of 13 children and began his entertainment career at age 13 as a member of a dance quartet that performed at McKinley Junior High School in Pasadena. He later took lessons from William Covan, who was a tap dancer and actor, as well as Nick Castle, who was a well-known choreographer for TV and film. In 1954, at age 29, Duncan first appeared on The Betty White Show and quickly became a regular performer. However, when Betty White's show reached a national audience, television stations in the South threatened a boycott if Duncan remained on the show because he was black. Betty White refused to fire Duncan and actually increased his airtime. Her statement at the time, "I'm sorry, but he stays. Live with it." And please understand, this was 1954, before the civil rights movement had even begun. You just didn't see black performers on national television. However, NBC eventually did cancel the show in 1954 due to a lack of sponsors. But White's support of Duncan helped give him a national platform that led to even more opportunities. In 1957, Duncan joined Bob Hope's troupe, touring U.S. military bases as part of the United Service Organization, or known as USO, making him the first African American to be part of that 100-member group. And then after his time with USO, Duncan was discovered by Lawrence Welk's personal manager, Sam Lutz. So Duncan first appeared on the show as a guest in 1964, and from there appeared as a regular until 1982. Duncan was the first black performer to appear as a regular on a variety show. Later in his career, he appeared in the film Tap, as well as guest appearances on popular TV series, including Columbo and Diagnosis Murder. In 2018, Duncan had the opportunity to reunite with Betty White on Steve Harvey's show, Little Big Shots, Forever Young, where Duncan revealed he was not aware of the controversy surrounding his role on the Betty White show. She never shared it with him. But at that time, he credited White to his success and starting his career. Due to his long-lasting and outstanding tap dancing career, Arthur Duncan earned many awards and much recognition. And in 2020, he was inducted into the International Tap Dance Hall of Fame. Arthur Duncan died of a stroke in January 2023 at the age of 97. Okay, that's all I have for you today on The Ruthless Truth. Thank you so much again for listening. Again, follow me on Instagram at TruthDavis5, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ruthless Truth, and also visit the Facebook page, Ruthless Truth. And I will talk to you all soon. Take care.